when I was about to start at Queen's University for my undergrad, I thought I needed to look into getting a dog so that I can be able to get around campus more. And that's when I got my first dog. I think I will probably never not have a dog.
There's a lot involved, lots of discussions, lots of planning, lots of information gathering on both ends. So I meet regularly with the training department and they talk about the dogs and I talk about the people, and based on the knowledge and experience that we have in placing service dogs in homes, we draw from a lot of that.
You have to apply there's a long application form. You also have to get a medical done. They come and do an interview both in your home and they do a walk to see if you're able to get around on your own well enough. They also do a mobility test to make sure you are not directionally impaired or not severely directionally impaired.
The dogs are pretty universal. They can go in as long as it's the right training that the dog has received based on the needs of the client.
It really is quite a unique program, and Guide Dogs Canada does all of those types of trainings for dogs. Rather than they're not just one type of service dog. They do, autism, blindness, epilepsy, and various other things.
Once you're approved, you have to go to the program for 3 weeks, and during that time you're introduced to your dog. You're out in public. They try and put you in every situation possible. So go trains, buses, streetcars. The busier the place, the better. You're
essentially training him to be very much like another human being. So you want to take him on buses, you want to take him on fire escapes and textured stairways, escalators in malls, things that are unfamiliar and scary to him at first.
Service dogs are specifically trained for specific disabilities. They're not widely available and they're a huge commitment.
The training that we provide for the service dogs, we train specifically for children with autism or war veterans or first responders with PTSD. For the children with autism, they act often as a safety mechanism. We teach them a command called HALT. So whenever the child is in danger of running across the street, running away in a market or in a grocery store, the parents use that command and it will stabilize the child so they can regain control of the child. They're also used to calm down their tantrums, is kind of what we call them. So they learn a lot of deep pressure techniques, resting their head in the child's lap or laying over the child's body. And that actually helps calm the child. For PTSD, we teach them a wide variety of skills. One skill in particular is, we call it grounding. So we teach them to nudge through an anxious tic that the individual might be having, or if they're having a flashback, we teach the dogs to identify their flashback and they nudge. We also teach them nightmare interruptions, whether that be pulling off blankets, jumping on the person's chest, or flipping on and off a light switch. And they also learn a perimeter block, so they will kind of separate the individual from an anxious situation. So in large crowds, it provides a bubble for the individual from the situation that's making them anxious.
They really change the life of the client, the person that they end up with. For example, with the individual that has Flanders, he had difficulty going out. He didn't know when he would get an epileptic seizure. And a lot of people, blind people, etc., autism, people with autism, have difficulties that the dog helps them solve and makes them much more independent.
He is my eyes. He keeps me out of trouble, basically, if that's possible. He lets me know where the curb is, when there are stairs, when I'm approaching a door, that sort of thing, getting around obstacles. I make all the decisions about when to cross, whether to go ahead with something or not. He knows where things are, but it is up to me to know where we're going and how to get there.
When the dogs are out in jacket with their individual that they are working, And much like you and I, when you work, it's very hard to work with distractions. So whether that be reaching out your hand out to touch the dog, or calling or whistling at the dog, or making all those ooey gooey noises, and trying to rile them up, it distracts them from their individual.
He's actually my eyes, and it's really important not to speak to him, not to look at him, just ignore him. He has a job to do, and it's very important that he be allowed to do it properly. It's interesting what people do or think that they're doing that's helpful. 2 years ago, I was propelled across the street by a man thinking that I wanted to cross a certain direction when in fact I had been set to cross another way. But he literally grabbed me and pushed me across Wellesley Street. And I then said, thank you, turned around and went back to where I came from.
Right now we kind of have a major distance with dogs. I had a few people, when I took them into certain places, say, hey, you know, you can't bring a dog in here. Even though they knew he had the vest on, they had the right to say, you know what, like, no thanks. And, you know, I just wished for those people that they could have spent a little more time, because they would have understood that, you know, he's perhaps, you know, was more of a humanist than many humans.
About 2 years ago, I had an incident, for example, with a restaurant. And when I contacted the police did not want to come and help because they were misled or didn't read the law. And they didn't think they enforced provincial offenses, but they do. And then the restaurateur was allowed to keep us out. Every day you step out, you potentially have a problem with somebody saying, no, you can't bring that dog in here.
It is quite a commitment. I would say that it's close to having an infant. You know, he and I were very well connected, so as much as he would be in his crate at night, that's, you know, there's a difference between raising a service dog and raising a regular dog. You want him to be learning these routines where he goes to bed at night and he's in his crate, that he's not in your bed with you and he's not up on the furniture and he's not, you know, you don't sort of treat him like another human being.
It impacts you every day. I might get a little emotional, but just meeting the families and seeing how much you change their life, it changes your life. Like, you know that what you're doing every day will soon affect somebody and make their life better and make their life more normal.
I feel like I'm actually giving families not only a gift of joy because of the furriness and all the happiness that comes along with the dogs, but it really is about providing people hope too. So even our families and our applicants who are approved and waiting for their dog, they have hope for something to change.
Without a dog, I don't think I would have done half the things that I've done. With the dogs, I have gotten 3 degrees from Queen's University. I've had different types of work experiences. I've lived in the Caribbean and worked there. I have traveled to Atlanta and wandered that city with my dog. Been to all kinds of different places and different things. So I can't say enough good things about having a dog.
The most rewarding part is seeing the dog being successful and knowing that they were paired with the right person in the right program and seeing them change people's lives.